When she first burst onto our TV screens, she was known as Tiny Tina, the princess of young talent time. Just a slip of a thing with a great big voice. But like so many others, precocious talent was no guarantee of later success. It's taken till now for Tiny Tina to make it big. Big here, in Europe, and soon, if all goes to plan, in America. Her new album has made Tina Arena Australia's highest-selling recording artist.
Waltzing Matilda,
Suddenly, she's everywhere.
you come
Her voice tested at the grand final in Melbourne.
with me.
Here we go on the pop quiz. Time starts now.
Her private life explored on radio.
What's your bra size?
Next.
Next.
Are you a G-string or cottontails girl?
I'm a cottontails girl.
How far would you go on a first date?
Not very far.
Yet just 4 years ago, Tina Arena was going nowhere fast.
I need your body, I got to have your body close to me, yeah, yeah.
There was no doubt she'd come of age, but while her song was a hit, the image was a bit of a miss.
I need your body, I got to have your body.
Do you think people were generally stunned by it?
Probably. Don't know why. I mean,
Well,
you know...
can I suggest, because in our minds you were still the cute little girl, and suddenly we're presented with this curvaceous young woman
and this cleavage
revealing
that everyone's just gone...
the shattering expanse it's been described as.
The shattering expanse.
I remember the first time I saw that film clip, I thought, no, that's not Tina Arena. Gosh, you know,
Yeah.
hasn't she grown up?
Hasn't she grown up? Yeah, absolutely.
Everything is beautiful.
This is the image Australians preferred of Tina Arena, the cutest little girl on Young Talent Time.
Tiny Tina and Little John.
I hope Mama, he's making
I grew up watching the show. I started probably watching the show from the age of 2. Every Saturday night, and Mum would sit us in front of the TV.
I bet you didn't just sit still and watch the telly.
Mum said that I was an incredibly active child when it came to performing and stuff. I'd dress up in her clothes and put her stilettos on and go out in the sunroom out the back and grab a chair, stand on the chair heels and all, and grab the old plug out of the radio and start singing.
It was every little girl's dream to be a star on Young Talent Time. But for Tina, the daughter of Italian immigrants, it sometimes made life very uncomfortable.
You know, it wasn't terribly cool to be ethnic in the 70s. And, you know, not only being ethnic, but being on television every Saturday night, being watched by 5-6 million people, was almost asking for trouble, you know. I was called a wog, and I got called a lot of names.
So how does a little girl cope with that sort of thing?
I was very quiet. I think part of me went into a shell because of that. So the way I dealt with that criticism was that I was incredibly quiet and I would walk away from it. I was sad. I would go home crying initially in grade 4. Probably the first 6 months I went home crying, but it soon stopped from there.
Heard
How does that? No, I haven't.
Rose, rose verde. It's all the time. Oh, comprato stasera. Don't sing it, Mum.
The Arena family is the story of migration to Australia in a nutshell.
Even that friend Myers, remember?
Dad Joe, the cane cutter. Mum Franca, working several jobs. And daughter Tina, first ostracised, then assimilated, and finally accepted.
Whatever you do, you make sure you're bloody good at it. Yes, yes.
Back
No.
around about 7.5 years ago, this young lady started with my program.
I need a friend, and my heart is set on you.
8 years on Young Talent Time made her a national institution. Every Saturday night, families gathered round the telly, watching the Young Talent Time kids grow up before our eyes. Suddenly, almost before we knew it, Tina was a teenager. And rules are rules. It was time to quit. when you left? I mean, you've been part of this for so many years, and you wake up one morning, you're 16, and you're out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did. I cried for the first week after I left it, you know.
But it must have felt good knowing that never again would you have to sing Close Your Eyes. I Kiss You.
Yes. That was great.
That I'm kissing. You do it.
Those lips I am missing.
The showbiz truth is many child stars become teenage nobodies.
All come true.
For Tina, the image of the little girl who was sugar and spice and all things nice became the burden she had to carry as she tried to remake her career. What sort of response did you get from music industry executives when you were shopping yourself around?
Well, it wasn't a very positive one initially. But, you know, the thing that I got to say is that I don't hold any grudges to those guys because they're doing a job. At the end of the day, what they're doing is they're wanting to sell records and they're wanting to market somebody as best as they can, because at the end of the day, it's all about selling records.
But how did they see you, though?
Well, obviously not as a very marketable product, you know, so...
Why not? Why not? How were you categorised?
Well, obviously, as a young talent timer, that was never, you know, the stigma of being a child star, so to speak, you know, never really left their minds. And I think that was probably the most disheartening thing, was the fact that the industry didn't let go of that. Show me how that thing starts in case I ever have to play it. You know how...
It really started to happen for Tina Arena when she realised she was more than a voice, more than a singer, more than a performer, that she could write songs, write hits. Down the back streets of Fitzroy in Melbourne, she's rehearsing for an Australian tour that will showcase her triple platinum album, Don't Ask.
I'm asking, please, help it help my heart, help my heart, heal this pain inside. Give me one more try.
Every track on it was either written or co-written by Tina.
Yes, I will.
A lot of your songs seem, on the surface at least, to be essentially love songs.
It's really not an album about relationships between man and woman. It is more an album reflecting on the different stages that I have gone through in my life.
Sorrento Moon, for example.
Sorrento Moon, for example, is about my childhood, growing up, the innocence, not knowing, the joy, the friends, the sand, the beach, the fun. Just, that's what it was about. I guess Sorrento Moon is about my childhood before I kind of grew up, you know. I'm in chains. I'm in
Chains?
Chains is different. Chains is about a relationship between me and this business, you know. So Chains is frustration, complete and total frustration. It's about letting go of the past, looking at it and sort of thinking that was then, but looking forward, you know, and breaking free of you know, of being something that I'm supposed to be, you know.
And did you believe right away that she had
Not at the
Now,
right
be
stuff?
honest.
Yeah.
Be honest.
prior to committing to the management, no, I didn't, because I thought that I always believed that Tina had the talent, the vocal ability, but I never ever thought she had the right direction.
Like practically everyone in the music industry, Ralph Carr is happy to have been proved wrong about Tina Arena. He's now her manager and her husband-to-be.
The
My
talk of
God,
the
that's
town.
heavy.
Yeah.
When's the wedding?
Well, there's really hasn't really been a great deal of conversation about the wedding because there really hasn't been any time, you know. So, and even if I was to have
You
a
don't
date,
do
Tracy, you know I wouldn't tell you, especially on national television. No.
Collar sitting well?
Yep.
And easy.
Or just stiffen that one a little bit
And
more.
press
So,
it a bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the warehouse of fashion designer Joseph Saba, Tina chooses the outfit she'll be wearing on her sellout tour.
Good.
What do you
Good.
think, Tracy?
Lovely.
Yeah?
Now, what do you really think?
Black and white. I mean. For most of her career, it's been others who've pushed and shaped Tina into their moulds. Now she's taking charge, and it's working.
And the winner is Tina Arena.
Chains, Tina Arena.
And the winner is Tina Arena.
It's been a tough journey from child star to accolades at this year's ARIA Awards. The irony is, many of those applauding her now are the very music industry types who never believed Tina Arena was ever going to be anything but tiny. Success is sweet revenge, isn't it?
They
That
tell
thought?
me it's sweet revenge.
Yes! Yes!
How rich would you be if you had $1 for every time you'd read the headline, Tiny Tina grows up?
Probably pretty bloody rich. I'd have to say. I'd have a few pretty pennies.